Also, what's great about today is that this kind of topic is very, very close to the kind of work that we do, particularly in SEO, every single day. We work with keywords every day. And all the sessions really useful in the fact that they all use data to inform your decision making. That's the most important thing. The reason I particularly love what we're going to be covering today is because it's part of what we call intent marketing. So it's part of what we call marketing to people who have an intent for your product. I love this form of marketing, and this is why when people say, "Are we an advertising agency?" I go, "No, like we are not. Like an SEO agency is not an advertising agency because we help people put their products, or SEO rather, in terms of you guys. SEO allows you, keywords allows you to put your products and services in front of the people that are looking for them. The difference with that is that with an advertising agency, the idea is to highlight a pain point. Like let's think of a typical one. So like the toilet duck adverts you get, where like the toilet duck advert will say, "Oh, when you flush your toilet, bacteria comes, flying out of your toilet," and you get those like it shows you like those graphics of like little like germs with faces like around your bathroom, right? And it's really clever because what it does is it gives you that it instills that little sense of fear. Oh my god, it's my bathroom full of bacteria from using the toilet, and so it makes you then want to buy that product. What I love about SEO is that we're not doing that. Like we're not planting that fear. We're not planting that surge of energy to buy something, to make a purchase. You're just putting yourself in front of people that are already looking for what you've got. It's about making changes to your website so that you're the business that comes up first. You're the one that comes up first when they search for your stuff. That's a big fan of it. So when people ask like, will we expand to other services? It's a tricky one because it kind of you start to go out of that into that more kind of non-intent marketing, if you like. So anyway, that's the spiel of why I think today's a great one. And before I do start, again, just want to say a massive thank you to Holly and the team for having me for these 4 sessions. We'll start tearing up at the end of this. But it's been really, really good fun, and I appreciate you guys kind of turning up regularly as well every week. And all the sessions feed into each other really well. So if you've come to kind of 2, 3, 4, or you're watching back those videos, they'll all feed into each other really, really well. In the fact that a lot of it is about implementation, and a lot of it's about measuring. And by this, you should feel confident that you know how to implement a great social media and keyword SEO strategy, but also then be able to measure those as well. So get feedback on those and keep improving. That's the most important thing. It's not about being the best at something, it's about constantly improving. That's what marketing and I like to think life is all about, hopefully, philosophy there for you. So, as Holly quite rightly said, any questions, please just pop them in the chat box. I'll get a little notification, so I'll pop it down and have a look. I really prefer questions being asked kind of throughout. We'll have a Q&A at the end, but I do like questions being asked throughout because then we can kind of answer them at the point at which they're most relevant, because they'll be about the thing we're currently talking about. So please do feel free to do that. The session will last slightly, should take us around to about the hour mark, maybe just before, so we'll have time for some questions as well. But I like to try and keep the pace up, and I'm a big fan of kind of avoiding giving you the detail you don't really need to know. We're going to cover the essentials and only the essentials today. So today we're going to look at what keywords actually are. We're going to start right from the bottom. We're going to find out what keywords are, why they're used, what their actual incentive is, and what they look like. We'll talk about some different types of keywords, and then we'll kind of go into the 2 kind of really main steps of keywords and SEO, which is your keyword research. So finding those keywords, finding keywords that are conducive to your website and that work really well for the product or offering that you're trying to put out there. So we'll look at keyword research, finding those words that people are searching for to find what you have, but you're just not showing up yet because those words haven't been used. We'll then go into implementation. So once you've got those keywords, you've got that keywords list, where in the website can those go? What elements of my website can those go? And there's lots and lots of places, and some of them offer more impact than others. So we'll be talking about those. And then finally, we'll go into tracking. So once you've done that implementation, we're going to take a very quick look, because we are going to go actually look at Google Search Console, which I appreciate we have looked at in previous sessions as well. But we're just going to go into a specific part of Google Search Console where you can look at what keywords people are using to find your site. And that'll be today. So to warm up the chat box a little bit, Obviously, we know they're the kind of businesses that you guys have got, and I'll try and make some of the examples relevant to what you're offering. In the chat box, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being absolute, not a clue, not a clue, not a hope in hell, to 5, which is like absolute expert. Yeah, I probably shouldn't even be here. How confident are you in your knowledge of SEO and your understanding of search engine optimization? So 1 is like not a clue, can't wait to find out. 5 is absolute expert. Why am I here? The reason I ask this is because it allows me to kind of understand what level we're at and at what stage I need to maybe take a little bit slower and a little bit quicker. That's all it is. Cool. Okay, nice. Okay, Rian's got a 1. Thank you, Rian. Appreciate that. Come to the right place. Trevor's got a 3. Cool. So like a decent kind of foundational knowledge, I guess. Um, 3 from Holly. Love that. 3, at least from a few years ago. I know things move quite quickly. Yeah, on Planet SEO, I really like that. Really like that, Nick. And you're absolutely spot on. The world of SEO moves very, very quickly, and it is changing all the time. The kind of strategies we're going to show today tend to be not too time elastic, so they don't change too much with time. The idea of using and implementing keywords has been the same today than it is kind of, I would say, 4 or 5 years ago. There used to be some kind of black hat dark techniques that people used back in the day that aren't really used anymore, which is good. But yeah, it doesn't change too much from the keyword side. It's more on the content side, which is worthy of a whole nother session at some point. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Holly. So awesome. Jill 2.5, love that. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So kind of middle of the road. We know what it's about. We know it's about getting traffic. We know those things. And that's cool. So a bit of foundational knowledge. And I'll try and dip in, Nick, and just sort of dip in with any kind of like, if I think off the top of my head of any kind of recent updates to any of the stuff I talked about, I'll mention that as well. But the easiest way to stay up to date is with the Lumen SEO newsletter, which you can sign up to. Generally, you can. There we go. There's the pitch. Or just follow us on social media. We'll have the links at the end. We're always like posting. We try and make our content useful rather than just like day in the life, even though there are days in the lives on there. We try and make the content nice and useful as well. So, what are keywords? So, keywords connect your customers to your offerings. They connect the intent of your customers, the thing that they want, the words they use to word what they want, to the offering, to the thing that you offer. It's that bridge. That's what SEO really is. It forms part of intent marketing, which we've already talked about. You're putting your product or service in front of someone that you know wants what you've got. Okay, so it's someone that you know, like they're after what you have. You've just got to word it in the right way. You've got to deliver it in the right way. That is essentially words it in a way they want to hear, and words it in the kind of language that they've used to search it. That's what keyword research is all about, keywords. And one thing to remember with keywords as well, which I really love about it, is that it actually can be used outside of SEO. So the benefit about Google dominating, I think it's something like 94% of searches. So 94% of search engine searches are on Google. The other 6% are on Bing and other kind of other searches like Ecosia. That's kind of the sustainable one, which is really cool. They all have a similar algorithm. So all the rules you learn today apply to all those other search algorithms as well. But what's great about it is because search is where so many questions begin, it means that the language, right, the language that people use to search, the questions that people ask are a direct representation of people's curiosity. So they're a direct representation of the words people use, right? But because they're being searched and people start everything with a search, it's a direct way to know, okay, what do my customers ask for? How they ask for it? What kind of words do they use? Things like that. So that's why actually, if you start using those keywords in social media, you start using those words that people recognize. You start using those words that people start to go, oh yeah, I need that, or I want that, or I'm interested in that, because you've used one word instead of another one, because it's been researched, because you know it's the kind of words people use. It's a bit like market research, really. It's a great form of market research, actually. But also Google has access to the content that you produce on social media. So Google wants to see a synchronicity between the words you're using on your website and the words you're using on your social media. It loves that synchronicity, especially if, as most good websites should be, you're linking to your social media from your website. And if Google can see that synchronicity, that it loves it, and that activity on social media, that busyness, really, really important. SEO and social media go together really, really well in that kind of context. So there are two types of keywords. You've got your long tail and your short tail, and they're pretty self-explanatory. So long tail is your longer, more specific keyword. So, or key phrase, if you like. So it's a key phrase that has specific details in it that identifies a very, very specific kind of search. Your short tail keywords are ones that are a lot more shorter, a lot more broad. So ones that aren't necessarily particularly they're after a specific thing in a specific place. So I put two examples there of people using the same keyword, but one's a long tail and one's a short tail. So you've got long tail search phrase, which is affordable recording studio in Cardiff, right? So we've got it's affordable, it's a recording studio, and it's in Cardiff. So you've got a descriptive, you've got an actual noun, you've got the thing that they want, and you've got it in the location that they want it. Long tail, very, very specific. If I search that, I wouldn't expect to start seeing recording studios in Swansea, Bristol. Like I wouldn't expect to see those start turning up. However, if I also search a short tail keyword, so recording studio, I could see all sorts from maybe around the UK, right? Google knows that it's a UK search, so it could show me results for London, could show me results for Glasgow, Edinburgh, anywhere else outside the UK. So much more specific. We focus on long tail keywords. There's a reason there's a focus on long tail keywords because although they do have less demand, so for example, you may get 1,000 people searching for a recording studio, but only maybe 20 people searching for affordable recording studio in Cardiff. Even though they have that less demand, they're far more easier to rank for because you take out all that competition. So if I run a recording studio in Cardiff, right, and I want to stop competing with the Swansea recording studios and all those to make sure I get those Cardiff searches, I'm going to include Cardiff in my keywords and my key phrases because it's going to be easier to rank for, but also then it's going to hold a better conversion rate. So by conversion rate, we mean it's going to hold a higher chance that I'm going to make a sale or get an inquiry. But in the terms of the recording studio, it's going to be much better chance of me getting that higher conversion. So that increased the chance of sale because they go, right, the search results are all to do with Cardiff. I've appeared in there. They're looking for specific for a Cardiff recording studio. Great, higher chance of conversion there, which is great. Short tail then, yes, there's more demand, and those really large companies like maybe like the EasyJets of this world and the John Lewis's, they may be going more for these short tail keywords just to get mass, even though the conversion rate is quite low on them, just for massive searches, and because the online shops have a lot of offerings as well. But again, more demand, but again, very difficult to rank for, and the conversion rate is far worse. The conversion rate is far lower. So it's those long tail keywords we want to focus on. And I'll show you how to find those very shortly. Like I said before, keywords can be used all over the web, all over your exposure. So for example, I've taken Trumpshire Tech here as an example, which is a co-working space here in Cardiff. And you can see there that keywords have been used in their headings, in the description, the text on their website. You can see that those keywords then have been used on Facebook. So that's on a Facebook post, potentially Instagram, no, Facebook post. And on the actual search result itself, keywords are evident everywhere and can be used everywhere to get the right people through to what we offer. What's also interesting is that keywords can be used in online marketplaces. So if you sell products online, for example, Jill will come to the baby wear, right? If you're selling that baby wear on marketplaces, on Amazon, on eBay, on Etsy, on any of these places, using those keywords in those marketplace listings is incredibly valuable. Again, because even if your website's not ranking in search results, your Amazon or your Etsy listings may well be ranking in search results much better because Google understands that people love shopping on Amazon or shopping on Etsy because it's easy. It's saved their card details and things like that. So the keywords that you find for your website, absolutely, as well as social media, use them in that marketplace as well. Because even for the search engines within the marketplace, so the Amazon search engine or the Etsy search engine will have a very similar algorithm to Google. So it will look for those keywords and will look for specific keywords the same way that Google will. So when you get, and I love it when we get these e-commerce stores that those keywords that we use on their website, they start then using on their marketplace listings. Like it's so great because all of it looks just really, they're all using the same phrases, they're all using the same language, and that makes it really conducive to a great search result and a great just increase in sales across the board. That works really, really well. So what's the saying? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. I think that's the one. That absolutely lends itself to keyword research and implementing keywords. It is 60% research, 40% implementation. Think of keywords, that the kind of keyword research stage, a bit like building a house, and you want to start with good foundations. If you don't start with good foundations, the house could tumble at a later date. So that's kind of what keyword research is. Keyword research is the foundations. You're going to build your exposure and build your customers. And we've seen it before where because certain businesses have gone for keywords that aren't quite accurate, or maybe they thought those keywords had a higher search volume but actually weren't relevant to their product. We've seen them get loads and loads of traffic, and they've gone, "Yeah, look at all this traffic," but the sales haven't come through. The sales inquiries haven't come through. It's the wrong people. So it's all good having all that traffic, but if they're not coming through, if they're not the right people, it's no good, right? It's like, imagine, what's better, right? 10% conversion rate on 50 people or 1% conversion rate on 150 people, right? Option A, every single time, because you're getting a higher sales for the amount of people you've got. Also, less admin. So if you get less people visiting your website, but they're more likely to buy, you can get yourself in a scenario where you're managing less customers, but those customers tend to not only more likely to order more and become more loyal customers. So it's all about the research, all about the research, which I will show you now using some very good and very free tools um, for you. Just adjust my screen. There we go. So there are a lot of tools that you can use. SEMrush offer a free trial, which is pretty good. SEMrush's keyword research tool is really good. If you do already run Google Ads campaigns, they have something called Keyword Planner, which is very good to use. But again, not going to use that because I don't want to assume everyone has access to that. Google Trends is very good, but it's quite simple. We obviously looked at it. I think it was last week or the week before. We looked at using Google Trends to find trending things in your industries to use for social media content, which is really useful. But I would say that's kind of where its usefulness ends because the actual statistics you get, so the actual like search volume competitors that you get on Google Trends isn't as good as what we will be using, which is this free one here called Uber Suggest. This one's free. It's actually by a really, really good guy called Neil Patel, who is just an absolute guru in search. And I always kind of subscribe to his newsletters to keep up to date with SEO. So if you use this platform, the free version is limited in the fact that what you can use, but it's enough, if that makes sense, to do what you need to do. So you find it by just searching Uber Suggest. You can see the free keyword research tool. And you can literally get started from the top. So let's go. We got captured here. So let's go for some. We've done baby wear stuff. So let's go for like skincare. So let's go for. I'll tell you what, Katrin, can you pop one of your products into the chat box, please? This is fun. I feel like a comedian. I'm picking on people in the front row. Or like, can I get a volunteer? When I was at a kid's, when you're at a kid's party and there's like a magician or something, and they said that I was always the one to go like this, and then they picked me because I look really shy. Shy little child. So yeah, so we'll use. Oh, what's that? Just give me a pop-up. I don't want a pop-up. Nice. What you got there, Katrin? What's the product? We're gonna make it relevant. We're gonna make it useful. I'm taking a risk here. I could do something I'm familiar with, but we're gonna take a risk. I should add, I think if you do get the paid version of this to get all the access, that it's also actually much more affordable than SEMrush and all those ones. So much easier. If it's easier to unmute caption, you can do that. Let me know what the product is.
Okay, yeah. Just hang on.
No worries.
My computer's not showing me the pictures. Oh, Nanny. Okay, on this way. I'll give you the.
You're giving me a really niche product now, aren't you?
I am. I'm going to give you my skin balm that I started off with.
Oh,
It's
perfect.
made with ribwort plantain, plants that we used to shoot the seed heads off as kids at one another. And it's really good for itchy skin, dry skin. And this is what I started off with because somebody came to me suffering from eczema.
Mhm.
And the word got out. And yeah, that's how I started off.
Amazing.
Although I can't sell it, as you know, under the eczema
Mhm.
medicinal side of
Big,
things.
big
So
pharma will
it's
come after you.
suitable. Yeah, I can say that it's suitable for use, but yeah, so that's the one.
I feel your pain. Trying to do SEO for
It's
my parents'
frustrating.
skincare company was
Yeah,
great fun.
yeah, yeah.
No, we can't put treatment. You can't put treatment. Put remedy, but put natural remedy. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Lovely. I think you use. I use the same tins as my parents' company actually. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
They look pretty similar. Nice and sustainable. Recyclable aluminium.
yeah. No, no, yeah.
Lovely.
That's the
Okay.
thing that, and the labels are, paper and everything's wherever possible is environmentally
Yes.
friendly and reusable and all the rest of it. Yeah.
That's nice. The reason that's really good from a marketing point of view is you've kind of identified like a core demographic there, like a
Mm,
core kind of
mm,
person who,
mm.
as well as having an interest in natural skincare, you can actually make that link. And we always say that marketing's all you kind of get James Bond gets a license to kill, marketers get a license to stereotype.
Yeah,
And for me, if people are using natural skincare to cure their ailments, they're very likely to be interested in eco-friendly sustainability, that kind of thing.
absolutely. Yeah, and I've also got the Welsh angle. It use Welsh names, so the rest of the bands, the rest of the range are named after friends, family, people who've helped me along the way. So there's a lot of Welsh names there. There's Welsh on the labels and the instructions of how to use. And
Oh,
so that, and also the fact that the plants I gather aren't grown in as a crop, they're just gathered from the wild, so in the healthier state where various plants complement them and so forth.
love that. Okay,
Mm.
perfect. Well, we'll keep that in mind now, actually, when we go into the keywords. So for that product specifically, and again, we'll keep it broad for the sake of getting keywords, but we'll go for skin balm. So we'll pop skin balm in there. Just going to pop you back on mute caption, not to be rude. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. Just to make sure there's no feedback on there. So I popped in skin balm again. Made sure I put in United Kingdom if that's your market. If you're global, you're global. If you want to sell to the Portuguese, sell to the Portuguese. And again, already I've got some really good statistics back on that keyword, right? So I've got search volume 210 per month for skin balm, SEO difficulty 46. I believe that's a score out of 100. So it's kind of midway there. And paid difficulty, so paid, you don't need to worry about that one. That's all to do with Google Ads. And you've got a cost per click stat there. But the big one really here is search volume and SEO difficulty. They're the ones we really want to hone in on. So if you scroll down, you'll then start to see keyword ideas. You'll start to see specific longer tail. So we talked about short tail, longer tail. I put in a short tail keyword there, skin balm, right? But if someone searches for natural skin balm or Welsh skin balm, we're not necessarily going to come through to those guys because again, the keyword's too broad. So you can start to hear that it starts to come up with some kind of more specific options for me. You can even do that to start with. So you could go natural skin balm, and it's going to ask me to make an account because I'm using a free option. So that's the point where you start making an account, but you get the idea. You go in there, you get the search volume on there, and the stats that you want to be looking at when you're coming up with these keywords is the volume here, volume and cost per click. So I'll talk to you a bit about what these mean. So obviously volume is your search volume. If you've got quite an established website, it's worth going for keywords. Like I would probably argue that these are a little bit too broad in the fact that the volume is just absolutely massive. If your website's quite well established and the website's been around for a while, you can afford to be a bit more ambitious. You can go into maybe the couple of hundreds of search volume. If you've got a new website, there's nothing wrong with going for keyword volumes of 10, 20, 30, and that kind of really help get through top to those searches. Because again, the idea with SEO is you're better off being position 1 for a keyword that gets 20 searches per month rather than being position 9 for a keyword that gets 100 searches per month. because again, in option A, you're going to get far more clicks and far more search intent. But that's what you want to do. And again, I would probably, again, you can make an account and then the account's free, and then you can go in and start using this tool kind of more unlimitedly. But what I do for your keywords, there's kind of two scenarios I would come up with. So say we were building now a keyword list for the skin balm page on Caption's website. What you could do then is I go, well, okay, Korean skincare, that's not really relevant. Skincare products, absolutely relevant. I was going with care instead of balm, which is interesting. But there we go. So you've got skincare products, skincare sets, something like that, skincare gift sets, that could work as well. See, let's give me all bit might try and make me sign up again. Oh, don't make me sign up. Here we go. Oh, yeah, we've got loads now. Hey, look at that. Skincare acne, skincare vitamin C. Very, very specific now, which is great. You can get a 7-day free trial. There we go. Get all your keyword research done in 7 days. You'll be fine. Never have to pay for a thing. So there's a lot, as you can see, and as you get down, the volume gets a lot lower. The reason I talked about cost per click, so cost per click basically means how much it costs every time someone clicks on your Google ad for this keyword. So if I was to put a Google ad up for skincare for rosacea, for every click, the average cost of each click would be £3.19. Now that's not important for search necessarily. The reason I mention it though is if companies are paying a lot of money for those clicks, right? So I can see there that they're paying a lot more for skincare rosacea than they are, for example, for skincare kits. That means that those keywords have a higher conversion rate. Those keywords are more likely to generate a sale. This is because when people go into Google Ads, they pay more for search terms that are more likely to get them a sale, because obviously they need to get less clicks to get that sale, so they can spend more on each click, basically. With SEO, what the great thing is, we don't need to worry about how much a cost per click is, but we can use it to identify the highest conversion keywords. This is a bit more specialist keyword research, but it's really good to know. It'll allow you to be a bit more efficient with the keywords you pick. So for me then, I'm going to be looking at skincare acne, right? Because the volume is far lower than the volumes up here, so less competitive. However, if we look at the cost per click, £3.68 is one of the highest cost per clicks there. So definitely going to get stuck into that for sure. So yeah, really useful. This is where you can get your keywords from. As far as actually noting these down, again, remember, you want to have these keywords readily available so that if you're writing social media posts, newsletters, or you're editing your Amazon or Etsy listings, you can make sure that you're using those keywords in all those other areas. There's two ways you can do that. Some people will just make a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet, you just put the keywords in there, maybe with the volumes next to them. That's what we do as a company. We keep it that simple. Or you could write it down. Sticky notes are great. If you've got a monitor at home, you can write those keywords down on sticky notes, stick them to your monitor. That means they're just available there then for you to look at. If you've got one of those cool mini whiteboards, write them on there. But it just helps then because you've got those phrases with you, that language to use whenever you're creating copy, whenever you're writing words for something. You can use that trending language. But that's a tool. It's really easy to use. You can make a free account, get pretty good access to it, and it's enough access to get started. If it isn't, you can do the free trial and do it that way as well. Alrighty, so that's keyword research. We've talked about the things you want to look into. So let's say then we've got our keywords ready, right? So we've got our skincare keywords ready, good to go. It's then about implementation. So ideally you want to have separate keywords lists. This is worth mentioning. So you want separate keywords lists for separate pages on your website. That's really, really important. So I've talked a lot about products, so I'll give you a quick service example now. I'll give you a client we've recently taken on. I'm saying recently because they're going through a website redesign because their current website is not nice. It's a bit ugly. So this is Yellowman Tours. They're a tour company that we work with, based out of London. Now they offer walking tours around different cities. They're not paying me to say this. And as you can see here, they've got separate pages. So they've got private tours for London, Paris, New York, and Ireland. And these all open up into separate pages. For example, for London, here's the London page. And the reason I mention this is because the keywords they use for this London page is not going to be the same as the keywords they use for that Paris page, right? So they're going to have, private tours Paris, private tours London, separate keywords. So For these guys, they'd have a keywords list for the homepage, which would be more broad, like private tours. They'd then have a private tours London keywords list, private tours Paris, private tours New York, private tours Ireland, separate keywords lists. So they would have then 5 different lists of keywords. And when I say lists, you don't need to get any more than 5. Our keywords list for each page of our clients never goes beyond 5. In fact, I'll show you an example of a keywords list we've made, because that will really help as well. So let's go for transfer text. We've already mentioned them. So you can see it here, right? They've got separate pages for separate locations. Appreciate it's a spreadsheet. It's a bit ugly. So you can see we've got separate keywords for each of their pages for each of their locations. So each list represents a page, which represents a location. And you can see there the different keywords that are available that they'll be using. Yeah, there's no need to like get reams and reams and reams. There's no need to have that many keywords. Ooh. So implementation. So there's a few rules we use for implementation, but essentially keywords can be added to let me know if your website or the website you're about to make is not using any of these 4, what we call them CMSs, content management systems, so web builders. WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify are all very, very conducive and all very, very handy and useful when it comes to adding your SEO. They all make it really, really easy. I should mention for Wix, it's really easy. You can get started. Shopify, very easy. Squarespace, very easy. The only thing with WordPress, if you've got a WordPress website, you may need to install a plugin that allows you to optimize SEO. So for WordPress, I'd recommend either Yoast, which is Yoast, so Yoast, or there's one called Rank Math, which is kind of spelt how it sounds. So rank and math, all one word. Both good plugins, both free. The reason you need to add them to your WordPress site is because they allow you to edit what we're going to talk about now, which is the metadata, which is the first on this list here. In all the other website builders, you can just edit the metadata as standard, which really helps. So I've got 8 areas there you can add keywords, as many as 8. And again, and I put them there in order of impact, so in order of how much impact they offer. So if you're kind of stressing out because you haven't put your keywords in your text or something, or in your alt text, like, don't worry about it. I think the most important ones really is your metadata is the biggest one, and they kind of go down from there. We put marketplace and social media just to keep things consistent, but as far as websites, this is kind of the order of importance in implementing keywords. Now there's a couple here that are a bit self-explanatory. So headings are literally your page headings. So above, a paragraph of text, you'll ideally have a heading there. If you can put all or part of your keywords into those headings, that's really useful. I think I've got screenshots on this slide here. Yeah. So I've got Sea Trust here. I've used these guys as an example, a charity in West Wales. And again, when we talk about headings, we'd kind of, this heading here is a good example. So you can see here it says, see Welsh wildlife close up. So if we were trying to rank for the keyword see Welsh wildlife, that's an example of us using that keyword in that heading. So again, nice self-explanatory, include it in there. And of course, text then, you've got text as number 6. Text, again, is just the on-page text. And it's really important if you're adding your keywords to the text of your website, keep it smooth, keep it smart, keep it simple. Google's very good at recognizing if you say you've got a key phrase that's maybe 4 or 5 keywords long, like we saw earlier with the recording studios in Cardiff, you don't need to include the whole key phrase in one for Google to recognize it. And by that, I mean, say that Sea Trust here was trying to rank for aquarium to visit in the summer holidays, or like summer holidays, aquarium Wales, right? Google will be able to realize that even though that whole phrase isn't in this page completely, it can see, well, it says Welsh there, it says summer holidays here, and it says aquarium here. All right. So as far as I'm concerned and Google's concerned, that keyword, that key phrase has been used. It's just been spread across the text to make it sound good. Because if you get too enthusiastic with SEO, it can be really messy because you start to kind of put keywords and it just repeats like welcome to our aquarium in Wales, where we look at Welsh wildlife in a Welsh environment. And it's just like, oh my God, it sounds like it's almost like speaking to a stairmaster. If you've ever been on one of those in the gym, like it's just constant, the keywords just keep coming at you. So yeah, be subtle. Google will work it out. You'll be fine. So I had a question from Trevor 2 minutes ago. Apologies, I missed that, Trevor. How often would you recheck keywords, just when you launch new product services or when the business changes somewhere, or not at all? Really, really good question. One of my favorite questions. We get it quite a lot. So absolutely, obviously, you want to recheck your keywords anytime you've got a new product or service. And it's really good to get into that habit of anytime you're launching a new page on your website for a new product or for a new service, that you go and do the SEO process. One good thing about that, if you are creating products or services, it's a very good segue. One of the where have I put it? There. So one of the order of impacts here, so the things you can add your keywords to, is your URL. Now, if your pages have already been live for a long time, you can't add your keywords to URL because that URL has been live for ages and you don't want to break it. So you don't want to like change a website URL. So by URL, by the way, guys, when I say URL, I mean like if you've got, for example, ctrust.org/ and then whatever's after that slash, that's your URL. Once that's live, you don't really want to change it because people may already be using it. You may have used it in a social media post. You don't want that link to be broken. If you're creating a new page on your website, you get to decide what the URL is at the start, which is great. So absolutely optimize those pages with your keywords. Add your keywords to those pages before it goes live. That's great. It doesn't mean you can't add your keywords to a page that's already live. You'll just need to skip out URL. You won't be able to optimize your URL, and that's okay because you can do all the others, so it's fine. And chances are, if your URL is for a specific product, it's probably got part of that keyword you're aiming for anyway. So, for example, with Katrin, if you had natural skin balm, but your keyword was natural skin balm for eczema, that's still a pretty good URL because it's still got most of your key phrase in there. So it's okay. Like you don't need to worry about changing those URLs. So yes, absolutely. When you launch a new product service, definitely obviously do those keywords and add them in. Or when your business changes, absolutely. If you're changing target audience, you're changing target market, if you change your location, if you've moved, maybe relocated, yeah, absolutely worth kind of checking around and doing those keywords again. As far as like if none of those things happen, kind of researching keywords and re-implementing them doesn't need to happen terribly often. People are creatures of habit. We tend to search the same thing for the same thing for a long time. The only time I would say that's slightly different is if you're in an industry that's quite fast moving or an industry that's quite new. So we haven't really got any examples of that here. Maybe there's some new kind of discoveries in natural skincare. I guess maybe that might happen. But even from our perspective with the family business, like we don't re-optimize pages very often. Maybe new industries, like we have a client who sells CBD oils. And because the whole legalization around CBD, it's obviously relation to marijuana, that kind of thing. Because the regulations and stuff are changing all the time. That's often one we change a lot because of the specific wording that has to change. But I said that's just policy, really, less so kind of keywords. So, but yes, very good question, Trevor. Thank you. But I always say once the process in, once you get those keywords in, you can let them rest, let them sit. The only time we need to change them is if you realise your traffic's increasing. You've looked at Google Search Console, traffic's increasing, but the sales aren't quite there. That's a good point to just look back and go, have I used the right keywords? Are these really specific to what I'm offering? Cool. So we talked about headings, we talked about text. One I'll show you through now is metadata. Metadata is, in my opinion, and in my experience from websites we've worked on, the most important place to put your keywords. It's the most important. So much so that you could probably optimize your metadata, and providing your like headings and text and like everything on page looks similar to that metadata. Sometimes it's the only part of your website you need to optimize. And we love it. Like when we're doing the first month of a client's campaign, we always do metadata first because we love to show them the graph going, like, look, it's worked. Because metadata is the most useful one. We always do it first. And they love it because they're like, oh my God, look at that. And we're like, what a surprise. I'll show you what metadata is rather than just keep saying it. So metadata is if I search for let's go back to baby wear. So if I go for sustainable baby wear, I bet that's a search term, but I'm regretting not cutting my nails this morning because it's making typing very hard. It's gross. Didn't need to know that. So if we go on here, I've searched sustainable baby wear, and you can see again, got lots of results here from some different retailers. The metadata is what you are seeing specifically here. So you're seeing this blue kind of heading here, sort of thing, and you're seeing this description of text. You can edit those. Those are completely editable within your website. You can decide what they say. So this one at the top here is known as your title tag, and this one down here is known as your meta description. So you can add your keywords to those. And not only does it increase and improve your ranking on search because your keywords are in that metadata that Google shows on the search result, but it actually also increases your click-through rate. So by that, I mean, it increases the chance that someone's going to select. So for example, if I have searched for, there we go, you can see organic baby clothes, right? Now, I might pick this result. So I might pick organic zoo over John Lewis, right? John Lewis's result, because it's included the word organic and John Lewis hasn't. That's a higher click-through rate. No matter where they rank, yes, ranking increases click-through rate, but I'm going to choose it because it's organic. I quite like the fact that these smaller brands are ranking above John Lewis. That shows that Google's improving, which is great. So again, really, really good example there. You want to include those keywords in that title, like in that meta description. As far as editing those, it is unfortunately slightly different for each web builder. So it would take probably a whole nother hour to show you. But the for WordPress, it's nice and simple. You just use you go into your page, scroll down. Once you've actually added Yoast, that plugin, or Rank Math, those plugins, and you'll actually see there you can edit it. It's really obvious because it shows you like it will show you like a preview of your title tag and meta description. So you can go in there and you just click a button that says edit snippet, and you can do that. Shopify, it's at the bottom as well. It's mostly at the bottom where you edit it. If you have any problems finding that area on your website, let me know, give me an email, and what I'll do, the reason I can't show you through it now is because I'll show clients kind of sensitive information. But what I can do is I can send you a screen recording of where to find it and how to edit it, and I can make sure I just blank out any sensitive information when I send it over. So, or alternative, I can send you a link specifically for your website builder. But you want to look for that metadata, meta description. It's normally at the bottom of a page when you're editing your website. So nice and simple. But yeah, go in and edit those. Really, really useful. If it's kind of the one optimization you make, the one change you make, it absolutely carries the most impact. Cool. We've got 2 minutes. So I'm just going to show you the Google My Business as well. A really good place to put your keywords is your Google My Business. Google My Business is your free profile. If I type in Udon Organic here, if I've done my job right, there we go. A Google My Business profile appears here on the right-hand side. But if you haven't got one yet, these are free. You can do it just by searching Google My Business, and you can create one. It takes about 10 minutes. Really good. It's a place you can host reviews, kind of where you're based, things like that. You can edit the description of your profile. So if you go in and edit this description, you can edit it to include your keywords. As you can see, we've gone a little bit probably overboard here. Small family business hand making organic skin and hair care products in Pembrokeshire, Wales, UK. You can see Pembrokeshire, Wales, UK, including soap, shampoo, light cream, rich cream, hair care. Yeah, I would say that's probably a bit overboard. Talking about updating, Trevor, this would probably be one we probably need to update because it's a little bit, yeah. With an obvious passion for sustainable living. Love it. So yeah, you can actually edit that description, and that will support your SEO as well. And that's your keyword, adding your keywords. There's a couple of rules then before we finish up, and I just show you through Search Console to do tracking. A couple of rules: do not add color text to color background. By that I mean, back in 2004, a really neat trick to get ranking on Google was to just repeat your keyword over and over and over in white text, and then place that white text on top of a white background. It worked a treat until Google realized people were doing it, and then it didn't work a treat at all. A lot of websites then just suddenly dropped off rankings because Google was like, I can see that, like I can see you. And so that doesn't work anymore. So don't do that. It needs to be natural. It needs to flow. It needs to look and read really well. Don't add keywords at the expense of user experience. By that, I mean, don't keyword cram. Like a good example is that profile I just showed you, which is embarrassing. Don't keyword cram. It just doesn't look good. You don't need to repeat a key phrase on a page for Google to understand it. It just needs to see it once. I would say as long as it sees that keyword that you're trying to rank for once in like each element, so like once in your text, once in your across your headings, once in your metadata, that's fine. You don't need to like repeat it in multiple headings, multiple texts, things like that. So yeah, don't keyword cram. And the last thing I'll say is don't get stressed. It's really easy, isn't it? Therapy, don't get stressed. Walk it off. No, but I mean, by that, I mean, don't, SEO is a long-term process. The best part about that is like SEO, once you've done it, it is the gift that keeps on giving. Once the keywords are in and the right traffic comes in, you just sit back and the traffic will just slowly increase. But emphasis on the slowly. It takes a little while. Google's got a lot of websites. I think there's something ridiculous like 150 times more websites than people on the earth. So it's got a lot to go through. So actually, that's probably even more than that. So just it does take us time a little bit, but it will start working. Like I said before, like when we've edited the metadata with keywords, we've seen results within 4 weeks. But it does take time. It's not like clicking a social media ad. I mean, it's like here come the clicks. But it's good and it will get there. And I'll actually show you kind of the kind of results that you get from SEO and how meandering they can be, but ultimately how long term they can be. I'm going to show you one of my favorite examples for that. We talked about C-Trust. So I'm going to show you through tracking. So you've added your keywords. So you've got your keywords list. You've added your keywords in all those areas. Now you want to go, has it worked? Has it worked? How do I know if it's worked? So to do that, I'm going to show you to keep it nice and relevant. And because it's a company I, well, at least part own, I'm not breaking any rules. I'm going to take you through Google Search Console. Now, I'm not going to take you through the settings stuff. We've been through that before, so that's fine. That's on the recordings if you want to see that back. I'm just going to show you the relevant area for our keywords. New Dawn. New Dawn's a good example of kind of what long-term SEO does because skincare, and I'm sure Captain will agree with me, is one of the most competitive industries. Like if you're in a niche of a niche, it's fine. But even if you're going for like natural skincare market for specific ailments, like it's still really competitive. And you've got to compete, not only that, but you've got to compete against like the big farmers as well. So like what they're putting out, and it's very hard. But it still works. SEO still works. And I'll show you what I mean. So again, this is a typical, and remember, this is for a competitive industry. This is a typical graph of what SEO looks like for a competitive brand. Bear in mind, this is 16 months, a year and a half of data, and you can see it's only really around 12th of May, so or maybe after about like 9-10 months in that we really started to see those clicks come in. I'm showing you this because it's a really extreme example of how long it can take. Bear in mind, we changed website design around about here, around about January, and you can start to see that helped as well. So you can start to see the impact kind of take place around about the new year, kind of the opening of 2023. So that really helped. I'm trying to think if there's a non-naughty version of like a good one I can show you. No, there isn't. That's okay then. So yeah, really good example of what they could do. Oh, I can show you bubble base actually. They're fine with it because I used those in workshops before. So here's an example of when you're in a specific niche. So the bubble base are a bubble tea cafe in Cardiff. So very, very specific. This is a good example of how SEO can work if you're in a slightly less competitive industry, because that was pretty much immediate. I think we started working for them, it's around about the summertime last year. So you can start to see literally from minute one, it just started increasing. So again, slightly different industry, but it's long term. That's what I'm trying to put forward here. Now going back to New Dawn as an example, if let's pick out a specific, let's not delete that, we need that. If I pick out a specific product, so let's say I did some work on our soaps page. So I did some optimizations, I added organic handmade soap to the heading because that's one of the keywords. And I added it to some of the metadata as well. So on the title tag that you can see up the top. So I've made those optimizations. I want to see how well it's gone. What I can do is I can then copy the URL and put those into the page filter here. So I'll do that a bit slower. That was a bit quick. So I'll probably reduce the timescale. Maybe it's the last 3 months. Say I've optimized it, 4-6 weeks ago. You can then add a filter by pressing new, go into page, and you just paste that in there. Again, obviously there'll be a recording of this available afterwards, so you'll be able to look back, but paste that in there, and what that will do then is it will just filter out the results that we get specifically for that soap page. And also you can look at the results itself as far as like clicks and impressions, which is quite useful. You can see how, so say I made optimizations on the 23rd of September, and you can see that impressions just flying up. I'd go, okay, cool. Looks like we've done some good work there. But what's useful, the most useful, is if you scroll down to queries, which is this section here, I can actually start to see the keywords people have used to find that page. Now, if in this list you see the keywords that you researched and you added to the page, you know it's worked. And again, it starts slow, right? So say that we optimize that page for Welsh soaps, even though you can see there, it's only saying I've got 1 click, 37 impressions. At least I know it's worked. It started working. And I know that because SEO is a long-term process, if it started working, it's going to continue to work over the long term. And honestly, that's the best way. That's the best way to look. That's the best way to see if your keywords have worked. Oh, and I think, look at this. We're getting good at this whole 10:58. I think it was 10:59 we finished last week. Been to Google Search Console, and that's that. So, like I said, as per every session, if you have any questions that you weren't able to ask or didn't want to ask during the session, please email, LinkedIn, Instagram. That's my work. What's that number? No, it's not. Unbelievable. But that's fine. Just mail the number. I'll forward you on if you come through to that one. But yeah, feel free to get in touch. But yeah, get started. Start creating keywords lists. Stick your keywords list to your wall. Start using them in everything you can, social media, website, and watch that long-term growth increase because you've used the keywords that your competitors haven't.